They're controlling you through your reactions. Every time you defend yourself when attacked. Every time you explain your decisions when questioned. Every time you correct lies about you. Every time you respond to provocations. You think you're standing up for yourself. You're not. You're confessing that they got to you. You're bleeding power through every reaction, and they know it. Machiavelli understood something about power that you're about to learn. The person who reacts is controlled. The person who explains is defending. The person who ignores holds absolute power, because reaction is confession, explanation is weakness, and strategic silence is the most terrifying weapon in psychological warfare. I'm about to give you 7 dark psychology tricks that weaponize non-response. And I'm starting with the first one right now in the next 60 seconds, because if you don't master this, the other 6 won't save you. Trick 1. Never defend yourself. Watch what happens when someone accuses you of something and instead of defending, you just go silent. Just look at them. No explanation, no justification, no defense. Total silence. They're expecting a reaction. They're expecting you to rush to defend yourself. That expectation is the trap. Because the moment you defend, you've admitted the accusation has weight. You've confessed that their opinion matters enough to contest. Strategic non-defense forces them to sit in the accusation, and accusations that aren't defended against start sounding hollow. They hang in the air with nothing to push against. And the person who made the accusation suddenly realizes they're defending their right to accuse instead of you defending against the accusation. The power just flipped. Deploy this today. Someone accuses you. Instead of your normal defensive response, try nothing. Silence. Eye contact. Calm. Let them fill the void. Watch how uncomfortable they get. Watch how they start qualifying their accusation. Watch how they start defending why they're even bringing it up. You just weaponized silence. That's the first trick deployed. Now let me show you why this works and give you the second. You have a compulsion to react. It's not your fault. You are trained into it. Society conditions you to believe that not responding to attacks makes you weak. That silence equals guilt. That letting lies stand is defeat. Every one of those beliefs is a chain. Because the person who needs your reaction to feel powerful only has power if you give them the reaction. The moment you withhold it, they're performing for an audience that isn't watching. And performers without audiences are just people talking to themselves. Think about the last time someone provoked you and you reacted. Maybe they criticized you. You defended yourself. Or they spread a lie about you. You corrected it publicly, or they questioned your decision. You explained your reasoning. What did that accomplish? Temporarily, you might have felt like you stood up for yourself, but strategically, you showed them exactly which buttons to push next time. You taught them that this type of provocation generates this type of reaction. You trained them how to control you. Now, think about someone in your life who never reacts to attacks, who never defends themselves, who lets lies circulate without correction, who makes decisions without explanation. How do you feel about that person? Probably some combination of frustrated, intimidated, and fascinated. Because you can't figure out what gets to them. You can't map their buttons. You can't predict or control them. That's the power of strategic non-response. You're about to become that person. Trick 2. Let lies about you spread. This is the trick that sounds most wrong until you understand the psychology. Right now, when someone lies about you, your instinct is to correct it, to set the record straight, to make sure people know the truth. That instinct is the exploit, because every correction gives the lie attention. Every defense makes the lie important enough to defend against. And people remember defended against lies more than uncorrected ones. Here's the Machiavellian move. Let the lie exist. Don't correct it. Don't address it. Don't acknowledge it. Just continue operating as if the lie doesn't exist. What happens? First, the lie has nothing to push against. Lies need your energy to survive. They need your defensiveness to seem important. Without your reaction, they're just words floating in space with no substance. Second, people who believe the lie without evidence reveal themselves as people whose judgment you shouldn't care about. They're filtering themselves out of relevance. Third, your continued success despite the lie makes the lie obviously false. Actions contradict words louder than more words contradict words. Watch what happens when you deploy this. Someone spreads a lie about you. Your instinct screams to correct it. Resist. Say nothing. Do nothing. Let it circulate. People will come to you asking if it's true. Your response? Silence or a subtle smile. Nothing more. They'll interpret your silence as confidence so absolute you don't need to defend against obvious nonsense. The lie deflates through your indifference. But here's the dark sophistication. Sometimes the lie is useful. Let me show you why. When people believe a lie about you, they underestimate you. Underestimation is a gift. It means they're not preparing for your actual capabilities. Let them believe you're less strategic, less capable, less dangerous than you actually are. Then operate from your actual capacity while they're defending against the fiction. That's advanced Machiavellian positioning. The lie becomes your camouflage. This doesn't mean you never correct anything. It means you choose strategically. If correcting the lie serves your goals, correct it. If ignoring it serves your goals, ignore it. But you stop feeling obligated to correct every false thing said about you. That obligation is the chain. Break it. Drop "I let them believe their lies" in the comments if you just felt the liberation of not needing to control every narrative about you. Trick 3. Ignore provocations completely. A provocation is bait. It's designed to trigger a reaction, and reactions are how manipulators maintain control. The sophisticated move is total non-engagement, not defensive response, not measured response, no response, complete void where they expected your reaction. Here's how provocation works psychologically. Someone does or says something designed to upset you. They're watching for your response. Your response tells them they have power over your emotional state. Even if your response is calm and measured, you've still responded. You've still confirmed that their action was significant enough to warrant your energy. That confirmation is what they wanted. Strategic ignorance removes that confirmation they provoke. You show zero acknowledgement that the provocation even occurred. Not suppressed anger, not visible restraint, genuine indifference. You're not holding back a reaction. There is no reaction to hold back. They might as well have provoked a stone wall. Deploy this tomorrow. Someone does something clearly designed to get a rise out of you. Instead of taking the bait, treat it like static you can't quite hear. What? They might ask. Nothing, you respond, and continue as if nothing happened. Watch their face. They're recalibrating. The provocation was supposed to generate emotional energy they could feed on. Instead, they got nothing. Void. And void is terrifying because there's nothing to work with. The sophistication here is that strategic ignorance isn't passive. It's active domination disguised as indifference. You're not too weak to respond. You're too powerful to need to. The provocation was beneath your notice, and that relegates the provocateur to irrelevance more effectively than any clever comeback could. Trick 4. Never explain your decisions. Explanation is negotiation. Every time you explain why you made a choice, you're implying that your choice requires external validation to be legitimate. You're opening your decision to debate. You're suggesting that if they understand your reasoning, they might disagree, and their disagreement might matter. The Machiavellian move. Make decisions without explanation, not hostile refusal to explain, just absent of explanation. I've decided X. That's the complete statement. When they ask why, your answer is, because that's what I've decided. Not rude, just final. No reasoning provided. No justification offered. No defense of the logic. Watch what this does psychologically. First, it positions you as the sovereign decision maker. Your decisions don't require consensus or understanding. They exist because you made them. Second, it prevents the decision from being argued against. You can't argue with reasoning you weren't given access to. Third, it creates mystery. People are fascinated by decisions they can't trace to visible logic. Here's the deeper layer. Unexplained decisions are assumed to be more strategic than they might actually be. When you explain, people evaluate the explanation. When you don't explain, they assume sophisticated reasoning they are not privy to. Let them assume. Their assumptions make you more strategic in their minds than explanation ever could. Deploy this in your next decision. Make a choice. Announce it. When asked why, give nothing. That's what I'm doing. Period. They'll push. But why? Your response. Repetition. Because I've decided to. They'll fill the gap with assumptions of strategic depth. You've just become more formidable through silence than through explanation. Trick 5. Strategic silence. This pairs with everything else but deserves its own focus. Silence isn't just absence of speech. It's presence of power. Most people rush to fill silence because silence feels like tension, but tension is leverage. And the person comfortable with tension controls it. The Machiavellian deployment. In any interaction where someone expects your response, insert deliberate silence. They ask a question. You pause. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. Make them sit in it. Then respond or don't. The pause does more work than whatever comes after. What this does. First, it displays comfort with discomfort. Weak people fill silence. Strong people weaponize it. Second, it forces them to marinate in uncertainty about your response. That uncertainty creates psychological pressure they're applying to themselves. Third, it positions your words as more valuable because they're rationed rather than freely given. Watch what happens when you deploy strategic silence in conversation. Someone asks you something provocative. Instead of immediate response, you just look at them. 5-second pause. Their confidence starts draining. They might rephrase. They might fill the silence themselves. They're losing power to silence. When you finally speak, your words carry more weight because they had to wait for them. Trick 6. Delayed response. This is sophisticated timing. Someone sends you a message designed to provoke immediate reaction. The expectation of immediacy is the trap. Immediate response confirms that their message was important enough to command your attention right now. Delayed response destroys that confirmation. The strategic move. See the message. Don't respond. Hours pass, maybe days, then respond on your timeline, not theirs. What this communicates, their urgency is not your urgency. Their emotional state is not your emergency. You operate on your schedule, not theirs. Watch what this does to power dynamics. They're checking for your response. Each hour that passes without it creates more pressure on their end. They're wondering if you saw it, if you care, if they matter. Meanwhile, you're operating completely independent of their attempt to command your attention. When you do respond, it's clear the response is a choice, not a compulsion. You're granting them attention, not giving them power. Deploy this starting now. Next message that's designed to provoke immediate reaction, let it sit. Don't respond right away. Make them wait on your timeline. Your delayed response will communicate more about power dynamics than any clever reply could. Trick 7. Watch them destroy themselves. This is the darkest trick because it weaponizes their own escalation against them. Here's what happens when you consistently deploy tricks 1 through 6. They escalate. The provocation that didn't get a response gets bigger. The accusation you didn't defend against gets more elaborate. The lie you didn't correct gets more outrageous. This escalation is them revealing their desperation. And desperation is weakness broadcast publicly. While you remain calm, silent, unmoved, they're getting louder, more aggressive, more obviously desperate for your reaction. Every escalation makes them look more unhinged. Every failed attempt to provoke you makes them try harder. And everyone watching sees someone losing control, trying to break someone who won't be broken. The Machiavellian beauty of this: you win by doing nothing. They destroy their own credibility through visible desperation, while you maintain composure through visible indifference. You didn't have to attack them. They attacked themselves trying to attack you. This is the complete system. Never defend yourself because defense confirms the accusation matters. Let lies spread because your indifference makes them irrelevant. Ignore provocations because non-response removes their power. Never explain decisions because explanation is weakness. Deploy strategic silence because silence is pressure they apply to themselves. Use delayed response because your timeline is sovereign. And watch them destroy themselves trying to break someone unbreakable. But here's what nobody tells you about becoming this person. When you never react, never explain, just ignore, people will call you cold, arrogant, difficult. They'll accuse you of thinking you're better than everyone, and here's the sophisticated response to those accusations: silence. Because those accusations are provocations attempting to make you defend your non-reactive stance. Defending it would break it, so you just let them believe whatever helps them cope with the fact that you're psychologically untouchable. This system works perfectly, but it costs you something most people aren't willing to pay. You become fundamentally misunderstood. People won't get you. They'll project onto you. They'll construct narratives about your coldness, your arrogance, your detachment. And you have to be okay with that, because correcting their misunderstanding would require explanation. And explanation is what you've eliminated. Machiavelli wrote that it's better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. But the deeper truth is this: it's better to be unknowable than either. Because fear and love both require the other person to understand something about you. But when you never react, never explain, just ignore, you become a void they can't read. And voids are more powerful than anything they can understand. The old you reacted to every provocation, defended against every accusation, corrected every lie, explained every decision. You are psychologically accessible, predictable, controllable. The new you is a fortress of silence, unmoved by attacks, unbothered by lies, unpredictable in response, unexplained in action, untouchable through strategic non-engagement. The old you needed people to understand you. The new you is comfortable being a mystery. The old you felt obligated to respond. The new you chooses response strategically or withholds it completely. The old you gave everyone access to your emotional state through your reactions. The new you shows nothing, reveals nothing, reacts to nothing. This is the dark psychology of power through absence. Not absence of strength, absence of response. And in a world full of people desperate for reactions, the person who provides none holds all the leverage. You're not being cold. You're being strategically silent. You're not being arrogant. You're being unmoved. You're not being difficult. You're being untouchable. If this video gave you 7 dark psychology tricks that weaponize silence, subscribe and turn on notifications. Every video on this channel gives you Machiavellian tactical psychology for dominating through calculated non-response. Share this with someone who needs to stop bleeding power through reactions. Drop "I am unmoved" in the comments if you're ready to become psychologically untouchable through strategic silence. Your transformation doesn't happen when they finally understand you. It happens when you stop needing them to. Welcome to the Silent Empire.